It's gone wrong.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Scarfinger, and this is Scarcasm. I am alone today. There's some technical difficulties and other things in the way of why we haven't gotten a show out for the last little bit of the year. So I just decided that it's probably a good idea for me to just get something out there, to talk to the people, you know what I'm saying? So, I hope your end of the year and beginning of the year so far in 2020 has been great so far. To be honest, my holidays were very kind of chill. I think both days, for Christmas, it was just really kind of chill. My daughter's getting a little bit older, so it's not like she really wanted a whole lot because, to be honest, she's spoiled and she pretty much has everything that she needs. She wanted a lot of that. I took her to the mall and took her to Hot Topic so that she could buy some of the BTS stuff and all of that other stuff. I mean, if you don't know who BTS is, it's probably the biggest K-pop boy band in the world right now. I personally am not a K-pop fan. I know I've said it many times here, but that's all she really wanted. So I just did that, and then we just kind of chilled out that day. Didn't really do a whole lot. For New Year's, kind of the K-pop thing kind of infested New Year's also, because I cut the cord a long time ago, and I don't really do live TV like that. And so she found out that BTS was performing on the New Year's Eve special, and trying to figure out how to get that performance, like going through YouTube, going through the ABC app and all this kind of stuff, was kind of weird, because the apps would show me almost every other performance except theirs, which was super weird. But it was just kind of like when they performed, it was like the cameras were kind of on the crowd, and I guess they saved the actual performance for the, what was on actual TV. It was super weird, but I mean, let's be honest, it kind of spared me from having to listen to this shit, to be honest. But I wanted to do it for my baby. I personally don't care, and I don't think I will ever care about K-pop, because let's be honest, K-pop, the biggest problem with K-pop is a lot of it is just distilled black culture. And there's this meme where it's a guy, it might be a Mr. Bean screenshot of Mr. Bean looking at someone else's paper like they're taking a test, and then like looking back like, oh, I didn't see anything, and start writing. And then they just put like, Mr. Bean was K-pop, and the person that he was looking at was, black culture. And that's it's just like, K-pop. And for what I know about K-pop, and like when she's playing music and she's like suggesting stuff for me to listen to, it all sounds like something that I've heard before. And that's the reason why I'll never personally care about K-pop or anything K-pop related, because this is all derivative of something that I know, because I mean, I'm old at this point, like I'm 40. I've heard a lot of music, and I've retained a lot of music knowledge. Not saying that I'm a musician or anything like that, but there's certain things that I can spot damn near immediately, or like if I think about it for a few seconds, I can pretty much connect dots on everything K-pop related that I have heard. Every single bit of it. But at the end of it, she was able to watch the performance. It was basically somebody recording their TV. But she got to watch it, and New Year's Eve went off without a hitch, played a little bit of Mario Kart, just kind of chilled out. Like I said, neither of my holidays was really that crazy, and that's a good thing. And so, and then, I got a few things for Christmas, but most of which I got some things that'll help me out when it comes to me recording, playing video games. Like I got a capture card and I got some things to support that, like a microphone, memory cards, things of that nature. And I'm looking forward to actually using that. Now, as of right now, I'm trying to figure out my where to record is going to be a little bit of an issue, because there's been some things happening around here where, life is a little bit different than it used to be, where I used to just kind of hang out in the living room mostly by myself. It's changed a little bit, so I got to change with it, So finding the time to get this stuff recorded and stuff, is going to happen real soon. Now, of course, I get the opportunity to record something, and the first thing I really want to do is NCAA 14, because it's probably one of my favorite games of all time. And I like the coaching aspect of it. I don't love playing it these days, because the game got too easy, for someone who's played over 200 hours. It's just kind of, the game came out in 2013. So it's not very hard to get 200 hours into a game that never got a sequel, even though I typically will put 200 hours in it every year. So it just kind of got boring, and like going into it like a coach's perspective, where I'm just picking the plays and seeing if they can actually execute, based off of, what I did as far as like picking the team and putting everybody in the right place, is way more interesting to me personally. But so I don't know if I'll be extending the series that I had before, or starting a brand new one and putting the brand new one on the Geeks Gone Raw YouTube page. I know YouTube has some issues now, and I'm not looking to get paid off of YouTube. That's not really my thing. I just hope that I can put enough content to get some eyes focused, so that I can do other stuff like Patreon, and being able to sell like paintings and cookies if necessary, and that kind of stuff. Speaking of cookies, I saw there's this Ninja mixer thing that comes with a dough attachment, little thing that you put on top of it instead of the normal thing that you put on top of a blender, and it looks like it makes making cookie dough so much easier. So I'm very, very interested in that, like super interested in that, in order for me to be able to make dough without trying very hard, because lately I've been making a little bit here and there. I made some cookies for my coworkers, made some for my family. I made some for my family during the Thanksgiving time, and then I made some for my coworkers. I got these peppermint chips, and I decided to make some white chocolate peppermint cookies, and they were really stinking good. Well, both me and my Pooh Bear loved those things. Pooh Bear ate quite a bit of the ones that I had left. I took a lot of them to work, and for some reason, like, my stuff stays around work a lot longer than it does anywhere else. Oh, and I actually made some money selling a banana pudding that I made for somebody. A banana-less banana pudding, which I thought was really cool. And he loved it. And he said him and his family loved it. I made one for work. It just kind of sat around until one of my coworkers said that his mom wanted some. So I said, take what's left. And he said that once his family got to it, it was gone before he could even get it to his mom. So I may try to work something out a little bit later once I get back into the mood of making banana puddings or whatever. I may try to work a little something out for his mom. but yeah, I think that's my holidays. And then, the start of the year happened. Work is kind of up and down. Everything just happens in spurts, but there seems to be a lot of time in between the spurts. So a lot of what I'm doing at work right now, in between like booking jobs and answering the phone and stuff like that, I'm doing a lot of watching like Netflix and stuff like that. I watched quite a bit. Now I am recording this episode on the 8th. So, there should have been a recording before now, but there is one now because technical difficulties and such. So I've already watched the most recent episode of Power. I enjoy Power, but I don't know if I'm going to enjoy how they are doing these last few episodes. Because if you don't know that Power is ending in a few episodes, I think there's about 5 left, or 4 or 5 left. I don't exactly know how many are left. There's a handful left, and how they're breaking up the ending of this will be interesting. But if all of the episodes are basically what this most recent episode was, I don't know if that's gonna work. I don't know if that's gonna be able to hold my interest very much. But so far, I've dug the series so far, so I'm going to finish it. And, if you haven't started Power and, you're into like crime dramas or anything like that, there's a lot there. I watched the entire, what's here on Amazon of The Expanse. I had, someone in a chat with some bros, tell me that I should watch The Expanse. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything today. And so, you know what? I'm going to watch The Expanse. So I got in and I started watching The Expanse, and holy crap, man, that's some good TV. Really good TV. I think for the most part, I've been getting into a lot of good TV. But The Expanse is like a sci-fi, but it's rooted in something, where there's a lot of it that's actually explained in a way that you kind of understand. Like, there's no ship battles and, spaceship battles and stuff like that, but you're not like, defer all of the power to the front shields and all of that kind of stuff. Like, shit actually gets fucked up. And like, they have an explanation for why that's happening. And I really dig The Expanse. It was just kind of one of those things where I was just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to try this, but I'm really glad I did. And the worst part about watching The Expanse, was I got in right when Amazon took over, and I have, that they put out the last season all in one shot. Well, now I pretty much have to wait a whole fucking year. If they're making some more, I pretty much have to wait a whole year for me to watch any more. Speaking of whole year, I watched The Witcher. I finally got around to watching The Witcher. Full disclosure, I never really got around to playing the games much. So I don't know a whole lot about the world of The Witcher, but something about the TV show really kind of drew me in and made me interested in what's going to happen, as it goes along. And, for someone who hasn't watched it yet, really go into it thinking that there's a little bit of Pulp Fiction there, where there's a lot of things happening. The timelines are kind of jumbled up and kind of converge more and more as you go towards the end. But you understand which timeline you're in. By the time you get to about episode 4, I think it's only 8 episodes, but by the time you get to episode 4 and you start getting references to, things that you've already seen or things that you haven't seen yet, you start formulating in your mind where in the timeline this is because of the references. which is is a very interesting way to tell a story, especially a story like The Witcher. But it works. It works as long as you know that, as long as you know, think Pulp Fiction up front. That's not really a spoiler. Personally, it's not really a spoiler. It's just about making sure that you understand that there are different timelines here, and they don't really explain it. Kind of like a Pulp Fiction type deal, where they don't really explain it at all. You just kind of roll with it. And like by the time you get to the end, like you understand what the timeline is. So, yeah, so that's another thing that I'm going to have to wait another year for. That's going to suck. I finished The Mandalorian. I really enjoyed the season of Mandalorian. With one part about the whole thing that bothers me is him taking his helmet off at the end. I mean, that's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's not really. The Mandalorian, something comes up and the Mandalorian takes off his helmet. And I thought that was like, I don't know, maybe they should have held on to the mystique longer or whatever. Like, I just didn't think that should have happened. Now that's not saying about anything else that happens during the season. The last episode, was kind of weird, especially with the comedic bit in the beginning. And it was clear that they wanted comedy during that part. And that part, while I understand why it's there, it didn't like throwing a comedy routine in it, like for the last episode, throwing a comedy routine at the beginning of the episode didn't quite land as well as they would have liked for me. But other than that, I really enjoyed The Mandalorian a lot. And another thing, I'm probably gonna have to wait another year. But when the new season comes out, I'm right there. I would prefer if they dropped all the episodes at one time, but I know at this point you got to keep those Disney Plus subscriptions going, because once The Mandalorian was over, as I understand it, a lot of people have canceled their subscriptions. I have not. I have also considered it because I've watched a lot of the Star Wars stuff and a lot of the Marvel stuff that they have that I wanted to see between Disney and Netflix. I pretty much watched almost all of the Marvel movies already. I've watched the most recent, the current trilogy of Star Wars movies, well, except for the most recent one that's in the movie theater. I just don't want to brave the theater. So I got to figure out how I'm going to get to that movie. So far I've avoided a lot of spoilers, but I know they're coming and someone's going to spoil me pretty big on it, just because of my apprehension about not loving the movie theater. I did, however, watched a documentary on Google Plus. Not Google Plus, Disney Plus. And I think it was called Star Wars Empire of Dreams. And it's about the process that he went through to make the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6. And it was like 2.5 hours, but other than the fact that something came up and I had to stop it about halfway through, I was riveted. I enjoy stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I enjoy a lot about Disney Plus is they have basically special features, for a lot of the things there. And you can see how things are made, alternate takes and all of that kind of stuff just in the extras section on whatever you're watching, if it's there. I enjoy that quite a bit. I miss special features because I stopped dealing with discs. So I really like that aspect of Disney Plus. But the Star Wars Empire of Dreams, if you have the time, do that. If you have to watch it in chunks, do that also. I really, really dug it. And, got my Star Wars on for a little bit. My girlfriend started watching Blind Spot. And I think Blind Spot is really interesting. I wouldn't say it's one of those things that I really love. But and there's like 4 seasons out or something like that already. So I wouldn't say that it's something that I love, but it's something that has always been one of the things that I always said I would get back to and never did. So she started watching it, and now I'm playing catch up. And it's actually a really interesting show. It's very, very similar to the other show that I watched. I think it was called The Enemy Within or something like that. But where, a lady who is thought to be a traitor helps out the FBI and stuff like that. This lady just in the blind spot, she just has no idea who she is. They found her in Times Square, ass naked in a duffel bag, with all of basically a bunch of clues to what's going on tattooed over her body and no memory of anything. So I am surprised that this made it that far. Like, I'm really surprised that it's made it to 4 seasons or however many seasons it is, because once you get past most of the tattoos, like, there's not a whole lot of data to mine there. So I'm wondering what they're going to do going in future seasons. So it's something that I'm going to keep an eye on. I wish it was on Netflix, because having to deal with the ads on Hulu is pretty bad. It's actually really bad. Like, it's like, bruh, I'm just trying to get through this. And also the new season of Runaways came out. I think I've only watched the first episode, and like, I went to sleep the first time, so I didn't actually make it through the episode. So we actually went back and finished it. It's one of those things to where it's like, I really liked the show initially, but the fact that the show was canceled, you're just not in a rush. And that's kind of like how I was with some of the other Marvel shows, the Marvel Netflix shows, like the last season of Jessica Jones. Never really got around to it. The last season of The Punisher, never really got around to it. Pretty much everything that came out after Daredevil, I just never really got around to it. And it sucks, because like a lot of this stuff, like, you really wanted to find out what was going to happen to these people after that. I don't think when a lot of this was written, like, they knew what was going to happen, and they didn't know that all of this shit was going to get canceled. So, for someone who doesn't really read a whole bunch of comics and such, like, it's one of those things to where it's like, I'll never really know what actually happened, especially because, I don't engage in any other outlet than watching all of this stuff on TV. So it's one of those things that, whereas I wish we had, maybe some video shorts or something like that. Maybe, Marvel can produce some animated and just get them to do voices, just to kind of give some closure to those characters, all of the characters in the Defenders. And I really wish that can happen. I would like that, but there's word out there that Marvel still wants to use the characters and stuff, but I don't know. It's just kind of weird. And my newest obsession. Now, Blue told me I should watch this a long time ago, and I just kind of was just like, I don't know if I really want to watch this. Is Lucifer. Lucifer, I really dig Lucifer. Now, granted, Lucifer will be, probably is going to be a very different show once I make it to the part where it was on Netflix. Because right now I'm still in the stage where it was on network TV. I'm wondering how different the show is, through Netflix. But so far, this is actually working out really well. Like, I started Lucifer Saturday night. It is currently Tuesday night, and I've made it to season 3 already. That's how much I've enjoyed this. Lucifer is like insanely well crafted, in my opinion. And I like how it's it's an, I like how the devil is characterized, where he's like, rebelling against the fact that he is blamed for all of the evil in the world, and say, hey, I'm not really like the blame for all of this. This is all in you. I was just a jailer, and I was just the guy who punished people who did things bad. So like, I'm not really the blame for every ill of, the ills of humanity. That's on y'all. I love that idea of him thinking in that direction, and like him trying to reclaim the, what he was originally supposed to be there for, and what he was sent to hell for. He was sent to hell to be a jailer and a punisher, not to be like the blame for every time a human does something wrong. Which it just makes sense. Now, I'm not a believer. I'm not a strong believer. I believe there's something, but I don't necessarily believe that what's in that book is what is real. But that's another conversation for another day. So like, I don't look at this the same way, but to be honest, the person who told me to watch the show the most was Blue, who is very much a Christian, which I was wondering why a Christian man, or just a Christian in general, would tell me that I should watch a show named Lucifer. But like, I believe that there's some ideas here that like, even there's some Christians that probably need to hear. And like, and there's a people who need to hear this, especially the whole thing about like, hey, don't blame me for everything that's wrong with you, because my job is just to be a punisher. My job is not just to be evil. Like, I'm not evil inherently. You just thought I was evil because I guard a place, and I torture people who have done bad things. But yeah, it's really good. And like, 9 times out of 10, as soon as this is over, I'm probably going to watch another episode before I go to bed. So that is my new jam, and I've been watching a lot of that at work. As far as games, I haven't really played a whole lot. I have played 2K, NBA 2K20. I think, I'm not really enjoying it. I am playing 2K because, and only because, I've put money into this at this point. That is the only reason why I'm playing this. And even though it might be fun, even though like I put a little bit of money into it, and my character is not horrible. I personally, I am no good at the game. And that's what's causing the problems. But I know that me causing the problems is basically the game being like, hey, you should pay more money. Like, you're like an 82, 83 right now. What happens if you're a 99? And you should pay the rest of the money to be that 99. And I don't know. I just don't. I'm just not. Well, it's not really it's not a whole lot of the game's fault. It's really kind of mine, because I am one of those, I'm one of the people that microtransactions was made for, because I don't have the time to get good. I just don't. Like, I have way too much going on right now. I just absolutely don't have time to get good. So, I know it's not on me, but the fact that I feel pressured makes me really not want to play the game. I'm only playing the game because I put a little bit more money into this. And that is the only reason why, because I feel like I need to justify my purchase. And that's it. I made a mistake once though. I thought that I had everything pretty down. So I turned, y'all know I'm Nepo to the core, but I did, however, turn it on to the hardest difficulty, just to see how it was. And bruh, I couldn't do anything. It was bad. And I think that, like, my character that I have right now, I think I did it wrong. And my character, one, doesn't have the speed and the vertical that I wished for him to have. So if I decide to do another character, I very much want to record it, and try not to put money into it and just be terrible, and just, like, try to have some fun with it. And don't feel dragged into the money pit. Just kind of record it. And so y'all can see just how absolutely terrible I am at this. Which would, in some cases, could be fun, as a series, to do, because I watched a lot of series. I watched a lot of videos of people, and they're talking about things 2K related, but it's just a lot of them playing the park and stuff like that. And I have absolutely no cares about playing the park and playing against, real people. I want to, like, take my character through the story, get onto a team, and try to figure out how to work within the confines of that team. My character, after I spend a little bit of money, I'm a starter now, for the Lakers, and that's really interesting. And I'm doing decently well. I just still can't shoot. And I had to turn off the shot meter for my layups and such, because I think, well, first of all, I don't think there should be a shot meter for a damn layup in the first place, but I turned that shit off. So, and then that, also, I have been learning, I haven't done it yet, but I have been learning how to play Civ 6. Now, I do have Civ 6, the homie Chase, had a code. I think it might have been through Humble. He gave me a code for Civ 6 on PC, and I came across it really cheap for the Switch, so that, like, when I'm sitting at work and I'm not watching Lucifer, that I can actually play Civ 6 on my Switch, which they really need a Switch Pro with a larger screen. That would be nice, and better battery life. Like, I would totally pay for that. I would totally pay for, not just the larger screen. A larger screen would be greatness. But I've been learning. I haven't played yet, because it feels like you need a degree in order to play Civ. And Civ, it seems like initially is going to cause some problems. So there's going to be a lot of growing pains. But it might be something that I'm going to really get in and enjoy. I very much enjoyed the kind of slimmed down version of Civ, which is Civ Rev. Civ Rev was one of my favorite games of last generation. I think it sucked that the Civ Rev 2 is only a mobile game. And, like, every time I'm, like, this close to buying it for my tablet, I look at the reviews, and the reviews all say, like, people are having all kinds of problems with it. Of course, Civ is also a 2K game. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's any, like, 2K game that doesn't have problems right now. As I understand it, the worst is the WWE game is really bad, like super bad, and I wish it was better. I mean, of course, like you wish that people put out finished products. That's all I really want. I'm not one of those people that's like, the game has to be like tip top 100%, no bugs, blah, 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 whatever. I just want a finished product when I buy a game. Like, can I just have that? Like, I know that these days, like, you have these millions of patches and stuff like that, and publishers can get greedy and try to push a game out early, way before it's necessary for it to be out. Looking at you, EA, because of Anthem and Andromeda, are the first two that come to mind. Like, I know there's more, but Anthem and Andromeda come to mind most definitely. Like, some people say that the WWE 2K20 is just absolutely unplayable. But yeah, I think, like, to learn how to. I love Civ Rev. Let me come back around. I love Civ Rev. I wish that they made another console version of Civ Rev. Even like a downloadable version would be cool with me. And but I have Civ 6 and I'm going to give that a try, but I feel like you need a degree in order to understand this. So there's a couple of people that I'm looking at who have done of how to play Civ 6 thing. And even there's one guy that actually plays on console, so that would be very interesting to see how different the two versions are. I'm pretty sure like the best place to play is on PC, but I don't really feel like sitting at my PC for this long, for a long time, for long enough to play something like Civ, which takes hours to play. That's not something that I'm really hype about. And I think that's most of what I have. A lot of people are posting like their best games of the decade, best games of the year, best movie, and all this kind of stuff. Like, I guess. I mean, my stuff is really simple. I don't really do a whole lot of big lists. I can tell you what my favorite stuff are. Favorite things are. My favorite movie of last year, Endgame. Easy. My favorite video game is probably the video game that I played the most, which is Division 2, which I think is a really good game, except for like once they started walling off content is when I was kind of out. But I played a lot of Division 2 and I enjoyed quite a bit of it. And if you haven't played Division 2, you probably should. Get your crew together and y'all just go fuck shit up in DC. I think it's a very well crafted game and, you know, you should do that. Music, I think Little Brothers May the Lord Watch is my favorite music album. I think the growth that they showed in coming back together and like having to do it without Ninth around and still putting out a quality product and like being on some grown man shit and talking about like real issues, and like, you know, like Pooh, like having to do Uber and like wondering if someone's going to notice him and like, you know, that kind of stuff. Like you don't really get that a lot in rap. Like that grown man rap, that Jay-Z 444 type rap. You know what I'm saying? Like I dig that because I'm an adult. I still like hip hop. But I'm an adult and excuse me. I wish there was more of that because a lot of us are getting older and, you know, I think there's parts of hip hop that can grow with us, because hip hop as an art form is still a relatively young art form. So, we should do more to create something for all of us in hip hop and a lot of music genres. I think a lot of it should show growth. Where you can see some of the people like grow up and still be able to make music about their experiences. So yeah, may the Lord watch. My favorite TV show last year, I don't know. I guess technically it was would I put The Witcher or The Mandalorian up above? If I had to choose between those two, I'm probably going to choose The Witcher. I think being able to watch The Witcher in like a couple of sittings made it a much more enjoyable experience to me. Binging made The Witcher more enjoyable to me than waiting on every week for The Mandalorian. So personally, I cut the cord a long time ago. So like, binging is much better for me. Much better for me. And like, without binging, like, I couldn't get through, you know, I couldn't get through 2 seasons of Lucifer in 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, technically kind of 4 days. I'm going to say 4 days. I couldn't get through, you know, 2 seasons of Lucifer in 4 days for any, for, you know, and that's only because it's bingeable, because all of this stuff actually exists already. And like, hopefully when the new season comes out through Netflix, which I'm guessing is going to be their last, or which I've heard that it's going to be their last, hope it all comes out in one shot and they don't do the weekly thing, because Netflix does that sometimes. I hope that's not going to become the norm, because I prefer binging. I just do. I absolutely prefer binging. So, I think that's it for me. I think I said everything that I've been thinking of. I will say, shout out to Sam, shout out to Chase. Me and Chase tried our hardest to get this thing off the ground for the past few weeks, and it just wasn't working for me and Chase. But like, I hope that, you guys stick around. We are still at it. I know at one point I was thinking about getting out of this, but I don't think that that's going to happen now, especially when we're on kind of a 2-week rotation instead of one. I hope that we can do in the in-between weeks, get more people around to do like game nights, and like just having, just trying to build a community again. I miss the community of yesteryear, and I miss having like just the bros around, and some sisters, around to just play video games and just enjoy just hanging around each other. Even if we're not playing the same game, just being in a party chat and just kind of bullshitting with everybody, was something that I enjoyed, and I hope at some point we can get back to. Shout out to the bros out there, especially my EDG brethren. Shout out to them. Hopefully, there'll be some things, popping up sometime soon. I have a little bit of inside knowledge on what's happening over there, but, hopefully something pops up for y'all soon, and you might actually see your boy, which is dope. Doing some EDG type stuff, and, I'm trying to get back to the painting stuff. Hopefully that's going to come around real soon. And, I got back into like making pastries and cookies and stuff. So just like trying to figure out new things to do there. And, I'm just going to keep working. I'll just keep working on, what we do here, what I do, in my life. I think people say about what's your New Year's resolution, and my New Year's resolution will always be, first and foremost, to be a better person than I was last year, to be better at whatever I do, whether it's podcasting, whether it's baking, whether it's my job, whether it's art. And I hope maybe at some point I can get good enough at this where I can make some of this other stuff my actual job. So yeah, man, but like no matter what, it's about getting better at the things that I love, and not bogging myself down with things that I hate. Just being a better person in general. And I think that's I think that's good for me. I think it's good for y'all. And I think it's good for the world. If we all did this, then, but like, no, we can't all do it, because some people have a different, standard of what being better at what you do actually is. So like if a racist says, I want to be a better racist, like, yeah, no, let's not do that. But we talking about me here. And so like I'll try to, be better at this and try to get more content out for y'all. I was going to start doing a little bit of these, like if it was something that I wanted to talk about in between the shows, in between the 2 weeks for the shows. I was going to try to do a little bit more of this, but it didn't quite work out. Like I said, my recording circumstances changed a little bit, and I don't necessarily have the quiet I would need for a lot of recording right now. But I'm working it out. So, for the homies who ain't here, pull out a little podcast liquor for Chase and Sam. I'm Scarfinger. This is Scarcasm. Go to the website, geeksonraw.com. The homie Layback for Life has made us a new dope ass theme. So shout out to him. There's contact information and also a link to his podcast where you can see some of his mixes that he put out previously. I don't think he's put out anything recently though, but you can still see some old stuff and get some music up all up in you. But shout out to the homie Layback for Life. Like, he has pretty much provided the soundtrack for this show from the very beginning. And I appreciate him so much. So much. And I told him to get with me so I can do something for him. Maybe some painting, some cookies, whatever he wants. I'm down for that. So, until next time, peace out to the Warriors. Let's go get this year. Let's go get it and let's make it the best we can. Because come November, a lot of us are going to be bummed out. And we know why. So, peace out to the Warriors, yo. Out of here.
I like that shit, yeah, boy. Yeah, I'm telling you, Whoa. I'm telling. All right, I ain't gonna talk.